Spartan Nation, what's going on? Ken, the super cool Spartan, my brother Brian, the super mad Spartan. He's playing producer here for our classic Spartan series here. And we are joined by a legend of Michigan State.
Oh
I'm talking
man,
about
stop
someone
it.
whose accolades, I mean, they go just as far as the Brooklyn Bridge, the Gordie Howe Bridge from
Oh,
Detroit to Canada. I mean,
the
just
red cedar.
accolades after accolades. Goes as far as the Red
Oh,
Cedar River. The one, the only, the legendary Spartan, Miss Cortney Hicks.
oh, how sweet are you? Thank you so much, Ken, and thanks for having me. And before we came up, I was looking at your producer Brian. He was giving me Draymond Green vibes of his look. They got the same kind of look going on. And I have a
Oh,
great
yeah.
story about Draymond Green. So my sophomore year I moved to South Wonders, and I was on the floor with Annette Babers, aka Big Job, and she was a big,
Okay.
huge MSU women's basketball superstar, and straight out of course Saginaw. And we just had so much fun. 3 South baby Wonders. And there was this little kid that used to come and visit Big Job. It was her nephew. And he was a
Okay.
little badass kid running up all and down the hallway and everything. And just bad. We called him Day Day. And so fast forward years on top of years. And I was talking to a girlfriend of mine who became a part of that family. And she said, "You know who that is, don't you?" And this is when Draymond was more like rookie. I was like, "No, who is that?"
Okay.
She's like, "You remember such and such?" Day Day was running. I was like, "Oh my God, that is that kid." And that is just the funniest story. It took me, I had no idea. I watched throughout college, everything, had no
Uh-huh.
idea who he was until he was drafted to Golden State. And I realized that was that little kid, badass kid running up and down 3 South, uh, messing with us back in the day. Isn't that crazy?
Wow. That is
Yeah.
crazy. That is
Yep. Yep.
crazy,
Yep.
crazy, crazy. Wow,
Yep.
wow, wow.
Yeah.
So before we
Yeah,
get
man.
started, and I admit, Courtney, I had to write my little sheet here of all your accolades just to let our audience know, how
Mm.
deep your accomplishments go. I couldn't write them all down,
Oh.
but I do have to write them down here on my little index card here. So
Oh.
I remember this, that you worked at 96.5 Power 96.5
Yeah.
in Lansing, and then
Yeah.
your radio career took off from there, from
Yep.
Chicago, Power 92, 106 Jams, then working at
Mhm.
WJLB here in Detroit, the legendary
Yeah.
WJLB. And then
Yeah.
one thing I do want to point out to our audience is that at Power 92 in Chicago, Courtney was the first female jock to headline a morning radio show. So she's a trailblazer, y'all. She's a trailblazer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, then she went to Mobile, Alabama, to work as assistant program director, midday host. Then worked at Radio
Mhm.
1, 102.3 in DC. Came back to Detroit,
Mhm.
Kiss 105.9. Then she
Mhm.
transitioned from radio to the world of acting, you know, doing Color Purple and the Vagina Monologues and Broadway. Then had a
Mhm.
principal role in the show called Who the Bleep Did I Marry on Discovery Channel, which I didn't know you was an actress. Like, wow. Then you hosted one of
I
the
didn't either,
inaugural
honey.
balls.
I didn't know I was an actress either. Trust and believe.
Yeah.
That's a
Then you
lot of
hosted one of
hard
the
work though. That is a lot of hard work.
yes.
Ooh, that's a lot of hard work.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Then you hosted one of the inaugural balls for Obama back in 2008.
I did.
Then
I
then you
did.
transitioned, pivoted again to being a news anchor and
I
in
did.
Georgia, digital anchor for
Wow.
Fox 2 here in Detroit. Then
Mhm.
now this right here, I'm like, wow, this is like I told Brian before we started recording. When we grow up, we want to be just like Cortney Hicks, inducted into the Library of Congress in
Yeah,
2023. Wow,
that was
that is an
amazing. That was
incredible.
amazing.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I mean, your whole from start to finish here. You just like I said, you a Spartan legend. You need to have a
You
name
know
on
what?
one of them buildings at Michigan State.
It's oh, stop it. It's when you hear it back, it's like, oh, yeah, I did do a little something. But for me, it was always about just wanting to expand and
Mm-hmm.
capitalize on the gifts and talents that I was given. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and when you're doing it, you never think that you're making this mark. You never think that you are, making so much headway, or that you are, you know, leaving a trail behind you that people can, a path that people can use to get to where
Mm-hmm.
they want to get. So I was always big. Once I felt like I had enough kind of under my belt, I was always big on bringing up the next generation. I mean, like, what's the point? You doing all this and you're not, leaving like fertile ground, or you're not, passing that on to who has next. And I've always kept, as I now, I'm more of a seasoned citizen. I've always kept, young people near me, especially as we entered
Mm-hmm.
into this age of technology,
Yeah, yeah.
because I'm a 70s baby. I was born in 71. I'll be 55 this coming February. And so I grew up in a world without all of this technology and just this global exposure. And I often think, as a Gen Xer, wow, if we had some of this technology back in our day, where would my generation, be? I think we'd be even further along. And so I really admire the reach and the I don't know how the generation under, which would be what, millennials and
Yep. Gen
Gen Z,
Z.
how they've just been able to just carve these individual, very exclusive, if you will, niches for themselves. To whereas, your life is not so regimented, because back in my day, it wasn't if you were going to college, it was where. And then
Yeah.
you had to shake hands, kiss babies, send out, type up your resume, mail it out,
Yeah. Yep.
meet,
Yeah.
that old
Yeah.
fashioned way of push, grind. Then you get in your career for about 10 years, and then you say, okay, I want to do more. You look up, it's been 20 years, and then it's like, okay. But now it's like you can get right at it, and I just believe, as being the part of a Gen Xer who would be the aunties, the rich aunties, or a mom, a aunt, a dad, of this
Mm-hmm.
younger millennial generation. I just feel myself as a mentor, just to help calibrate, because I never want to dismiss or diminish the big dreams and the big hopes. And I want to be a network executive. As one of my mentees, I was like, well, what you want? I want to own my sports network. And so you have to say, okay, baby girl, I got you. But here's step one. So I think that's the
Right.
way that I'm
Right.
able to pour into the dreams and the hopes of this new generation, who should be dreaming as big as they do, because look at all the access that they have. That amazes me. So I keep young people around, because I need to know the latest slang, how to use the emojis. These platforms are changing every 5 minutes. I don't know what to press. I think I do a pretty good
Right.
job on social media, but it moves so quickly. You gotta, keeping young people around you is just, to me, essential and a necessity. And I think I'm an asset to them. I believe I'm an asset to them, because, just to help them, like I said, calibrate and stay grounded, and say,
Mm-hmm.
hey, you are not going to be Oprah Winfrey tomorrow, darling. I've been at this for over 30 years and I'm still not there. So it takes a minute. You got to marinate. You're going to fail. Things are going to happen. And it really is all about how you take in and process what is going to happen, that sometimes is not even really going to be in your control. And if you see that obstacle, I can't remember who I heard it from. I don't want to credit myself with this, but there was a pastor speaking on, we have a tendency to the obstacles are going to come, but it's the way you process the obstacles because, it's not like the
Right.
obstacle is in your way, but it's about the obstacle being the way to the other side of what you want. So you got to go through that thing. And I think we spend so much time trying to pivot and maneuver and break ankles around the obstacle that you don't get what you need by going through it. So yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to the person who's over in charge of the Communication Arts and Science building and
Oh,
say,
please.
hey, can we rename that bad boy to the Cortney Hicks Communication
Let me
Arts and
tell you,
Sciences building?
I have not been on the campus since maybe 2018. And even when I went, I was like, oh my God, my daddy, bless his soul, paid for my college out of pocket. And this is what this man built. And back then
Mm-hmm.
we were on terms. And this is what this man built. It was absolutely, and I thought, back in our day, again, this is fall 89 to 95, my era, I thought that we had an amazing experience. I used to do the tours when people used to come to Michigan State. I did the
Oh,
tours.
okay.
Welcome to Michigan State
Okay.
University. We were founded in 1855. We have the third largest cafeteria system in the country, only behind, I think it was at the time, UCLA and Ohio State University. And this is
Okay.
and so I just felt like we just had this amazing experience. But now, oh my God, it's unrecognizable. I mean,
Yeah.
we had the dairy
Oh,
store when
yeah.
when the damn cows used to be in the back of the dairy of the dairy store, but now it is amazing. Wasn't nothing in the union, but maybe
Right,
the other
right.
dairy store. But it is phenomenal right now. That campus is fantastic. And like I said, this was 2018, the last time I was back. So I can only imagine what it's looking like now. I heard it was there's hotels and back in my day, the what's the hotel up there? Is it the Breslin Center Hotel? Is that it? The
Kellogg
Breslin
Center?
Center.
The
There's a
Kellogg
hotel.
Center?
Kellogg Center. That's it. That was the
Kellogg
big
Center,
to-do.
yep.
That was like, a 5-star. I think it's 5-star, 4 or 5-star. But now it's just
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
you might have did my tour of Michigan State because I started in '92. I started when they first
Could
started when they made
have.
the transition from
Yep.
trimesters to semesters. So you probably did my tour.
Mm. Yeah, I probably did. I liked terms much better because I remember I got up there and lost my mind and I zero pointed my first term because I really wanted to go to.
Oh.
I told my daddy, I said, Daddy, I'm going to go to New York and I'm going to be a famous singer. And, that's what I'm going to do. And he was like, Yep, New York,
Mhm.
Michigan State University in East Lansing. So I don't know if it was a rebellion kind of thing, if it was a lazy kind of thing, but I sure enough zero pointed and I had to it took me more than 4 years to make good on that zero point. But terms were short. They were to the
Uh-huh.
point. You got in and you got out. Semesters, 15 weeks. It was too much. So semesters came in the very tail end. So did you would call up and get your classes. So we were excited about that. We used to have something called the pit,
Mhm.
where it was one-on-one human contact, and you would have to sign up for your classes. There was no computers and stuff back then, so you would have to find somebody. Hey, you dropping math 108? Okay, I need to pick it up. And you would take that person, you would go over to the math department, and you would say, she's about to drop. I need to pick it. I mean, it was wild. It's called the pit. And
Wow.
so we were excited
Wow.
about phone registration where you could call and register. And you
Mhm.
would get a busy signal because everybody would crash the phone system and stuff. So it's come a lot, everybody had a different experience predicated on when you attended. But if I could go back, I would go back now. Michigan State
Oh,
is
I
amazing.
agree.
It's amazing. That
I
campus is
agree.
amazing.
I agree with you on that. I mean,
Mhm.
what they have now
Yeah.
compared to when we were there, the
Hmm.
cafeterias alone, these kids are spoiled. I mean, they got like
Amazing.
elaborate
It looks
food
like a
courts.
mall.
It
Yeah, it looked like a
does.
mall food
What
court.
it does.
We
It
thought we were doing
literally
something. We
does.
had a special dinner night. We thought we were doing something. We get a little
Right.
steak, some crab leg.
Right. They get that every day.
Free that. And it's a choice. It's a choice. You thought you were
Yes.
doing something with a little cereal, a little ice cream. Oh gosh, they are living
Yeah.
how for sure.
And you mentioned you stayed in one. I stayed in
Yeah.
Holden. I stayed in Holden
Oh,
while I was
wow.
at
Is
Michigan
that what
State.
you were
So,
assigned to hold it? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My freshman year, maybe I was in South Hubbard and it was a party.
oh,
That's why I had to transfer out. I had to leave Hubbard. That's why I damn near 0 pointed that term. I had to leave. Hubbard was a party. South Hubbard, and then I
yeah.
went from South Hubbard to South Wonders, and there's black folks over there too, and they were a little bit more, in my opinion, a little bit more studious. So then I got
hmm
myself together. But South Hubbard was a party, baby. I was on the seventh floor,
yeah.
7 South.
Sinful, yeah, yeah. I went to Hubbard a few times. You know, being in Holden, I went to Hubbard a few times. I
Oh, that's right. That
had the
is over
Hubbard
that way.
experience.
Hmm.
So, yeah, what were some of the most memorable games you saw while you're at MSU during your tenure there?
Yeah. Ken, you taking me back. I don't remember specifics, but I can tell you that coming fall of '89, we were just still high off that Rose Bowl win of '88.
Okay.
And Perlis was the coach.
Yep.
And I want to say that could have been like Rising, Snow, and I'm sure there were some other, cats on that amazing. Listen to me, I'm old school cats on that team. But by the time I got there in fall '89, so they probably won at the top of that year, and then fall '89 comes in. Um, the Rose Bowl, we were still on a high, and Michigan State was on the map, but there was also a sit-in. The Black Student Alliance, believe it was Black Student Alliance at that
Yep.
time
I
is what they
remember them.
called
Yep.
it.
The BSA. Yep.
Yeah,
I remember them.
BSA
Hmm
had a sit-in, and it was really about the demands of what we felt Black students at Michigan State needed, as far as our experience and our culture. And
hmm
so there was of course the rah-rah of being champions and being on a high, uh you know still in that era of Perlis and those legendary players. But there was
hmm
also the seriousness of our experience and how we were to, navigate our lives, our Black lives, at Michigan State University. So there was that balance there. But I want to say from that era, it went from Perlis to Nick Saban.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm gonna say my comment about that man. It went from Perlis to Nick Saban, and we had some great moments. We had some great wins. We did well. There were times when we got, U of M, where there was a last minute Hail Mary or a field goal. So
Yep.
I do remember some great moments, some great games that kind of like stunned them folks up the way
Yep.
in Ann Arbor. So I do remember there being some great wins, even on the basketball court. So I'm from the Heathcote era. Izzo was an assistant coach at the time. And we
hmm
had some great Big Ten runs, championships. And this was before, like slightly when I was a freshman, this was like when the Fab Five was forming. They weren't quite, there yet. So I'm
hmm
talking like Scott Skiles, Steve Smith, is it Dwayne Stevens, Mark
Yeah.
Montgomery,
Yeah.
I think it's Ken Redfield. Yeah. So
hmm
that when I was a freshman, that was the squad, and the Fab Five, who got all the Big Ten attention, wasn't quite formed yet. And that unit under Heathcote was killer, and you could trace some of those players and see how their careers have played out on and off the court. So I remember the Breslin Center being very new and them kind of cracking the bottle open to the Breslin Center. I remember that
Wow.
construction.
Wow.
I feel like I'm 80,000 years old. Ah, and I can't remember where I don't remember because I don't remember us still playing at Genesee Fieldhouse. There was something else while the Breslin Center was being. Maybe somebody could call it out on the comments. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember going to a Michigan State basketball game at Jennison Fieldhouse. I don't, because my brother always teased me, like, yeah, when you was at Michigan State in the Magic Johnson days. I'm like, Negro, I am not that old. And by the time I got to state, Jennison Fieldhouse was for like indoor track and field
Yep.
practice. It was for gymnastics, but it wasn't basketball. So as the Breslin was being built, I don't remember. I kind of really don't remember where we played, but I just
Mm-hmm.
remember that era having some great, great moments. And I think consistently we were decent teams,
Mm-hmm.
football and basketball wise, always hockey, living in Wonders. A lot of athletes lived in Wilson and Case. So I was
Mm-hmm.
around a lot of the athletes, and hockey was always on point. MSU gymnastics was always on point, women's gymnastics in particular. So
Mm-hmm.
I just remember, everybody would celebrate basketball first and foremost, and then football. But I remember there were other teams and athletic programs that would put Michigan State on the map as well. So yeah, I can't remember specific games, but I just
Mm-hmm.
remember that era and us having some real high moments. And we would tear up the campus and
Oh
and and off
yeah.
campus department and set things
Yeah.
on fire. That's the food,
Yep.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Those were the days. I remember
Hmm.
watching the news. Uh you would see stuff on fire and you think like, oh, that's happening
Yes.
like overseas. No, it happened in East
No.
Lansing. That's East Lansing,
Yes. Yes.
Michigan.
And it wasn't just it wasn't us.
Right. Wasn't us. Wasn't us.
Known as a party school. I
Yeah.
think times have changed now. It's a little tougher to get in there, but
Mm-hmm.
we were known as the party school for sure.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, but that wasn't us, but that was just how Michigan State got down. But I'm
And you know,
telling
it's
you, those
funny
were the
that you
days.
mentioned hockey because the hockey team right now is killing it. I know that. I mean,
Oh, they
I know.
are.
Yeah,
They
they
are.
recently. I know they took a couple of losses to Wisconsin, but um, prior to that, they're like ranked number one in
They are hot.
hockey. So
Hockey's always
yeah,
been
yeah,
hot.
they
Yep.
killing it.
Hockey's always been hot, and there's always been, we really focus in on the football game between the interstate rivalry, football wise,
Mm-hmm.
and basketball wise. But that hockey game between us and them is huge, and more times than not, we come out on top when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
that particular division matchup. So yeah, I follow hockey too. I do. I sure do.
I'm
Especially
like,
especially coming from Detroit. We're a big
oh
hockey
yeah,
town,
oh yeah,
coming from Detroit. And back in the day, I remember in clearly remember in my neighborhood there was like a black little league hockey team, and you would go to Jack
really?
Adams
Okay.
Arena, and
Uh huh.
the little black boys would play hockey. So it was very popular back in when I was a kid. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what happened to that, but yeah,
Yeah.
if you're a Detroiter, you might remember the Jack Adams Ice Arena, and the little black boys used to play hockey for sure. Yep, 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 yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
Mhm,
like Draymond Green. You mentioned Draymond earlier. I don't care.
mhm.
This is playing against Michigan. I don't care if it's
Yeah,
from football to badminton to equestrian. As long as you beat that team down the road, it don't
I
matter what
know.
sport it is.
I know. And it's so funny. I just heard him on one of those sports channels talking about why he chose state, because I had no idea he was well, I figured he probably was. He was a high-end recruit. So,
Mm-hmm.
no doubt he was uh uh dated by Michigan as well. And it sounds like he was pretty much on his way there. I think he went for a workout, and
Mm-hmm.
he said that, he was running through them, taking them through there. And when nobody say anything, they were all polite. He said he went to go work out with MSU, and he said they got to fighting and cussing. He was like, yeah, I knew that was my squad. So I'm like, yeah, man, we've always
Yeah.
been a little scruffy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
buddy.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that
Yeah.
edge for sure. Hmm.
Yes. Yes, indeed. So speaking of
Hmm.
edge, I know you've taken that edge from Michigan State to, like I said, a very long accolades and
Hmm.
accomplishments, throughout your career. So if you were
Yeah.
to talk to any current Spartans, who
Mm.
aspire to be like you, I'm also, I'm a comm arts major. My major was telecommunications at Michigan
Hmm.
State, which I found is no longer that's no longer,
Nope.
a degree you
An
can get.
option. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
But
Mm-mm.
yeah, what kind of advice would you give to, current Spartans who aspire to get into the world of media, from being the
Yeah.
TV, radio,
Yeah.
acting, they want to get in the Library of
Yeah.
Congress too. What's your words of wisdom?
Well, first and foremost, take advantage of that hell of a college now. I
Oh
mean,
God,
back
yes.
in my
Yes.
day, it was just mass communication, arts and sciences, and there was no studio. There was no you could major in journalism, but you weren't having those on camera actual experiences that they create
Mhm.
now, having the studios and stuff. So that is amazing. So take advantage of all of that, because with mass comm, I don't know if you remember, Ken, we had to take a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I
So
remember
with
that.
a mass
Yep.
comm degree, I had to take a little bit of telecommunications. You took a little bit of journalism. You took a little
Mhm.
bit of, Michigan State is always been and prided themselves on being a research driven university.
Right.
And so they really weren't into the, I don't want to say Hollywood, but more of the zhush of what it meant to be, so there weren't any news studios. There wasn't a
Mhm.
newsroom. They did have a little funky radio station, but who would want to be on that? That's why I went
Yeah, I
to the
remember
real
that
deal
station.
over
I
to
remember that.
yeah. It was like heavy metal or something. I was like, so there weren't a lot of options to really have that real world experience that you can
Mhm.
have now going to Michigan State. So I feel like the newer students are coming out a lot more polished and a lot more ready for what the newsroom is looking for. But if
Mhm.
you're coming out of state in particular, really no matter what field, but mass comm in particular, again, you're not going to be, I don't, not to discourage you and not saying you can't achieve those levels of success, but coming out the gate, you can look forward to being Robin Robinson, or you can look forward to being Oprah and Stephen A. Smith and Byron Allen. You can look forward to being all of those wonderful moguls, Tyler Perry, whatever it is for you. But there is steps. There's steps. There's
Mhm.
levels. There's things you're going to have to accomplish. There are failures that you're going to have to experience.
Mhm.
And really, it really isn't about necessarily the destination. And I think when you go and you research these folks who you deem, who you can see yourself in, or you deem as someone who has carved a path that you want to go down, do a little research on these folks, and and there's no doubt in my mind, the Spike Lees, the Denzels, whomever, that they'll talk a lot about the failures, and they'll talk about a lot about what didn't happen, relative to what did happen, and how what didn't happen kind of shaped and formed what did happen. And so it really
Mhm.
becomes about the journey more so the destination, because if you get to the destination and you really haven't experienced what the journey was all about, I don't know how fulfilling that destination or how foolproof getting to the destination is going to be. So understand that, yes, you can be the next whomever or the first whomever, but you might have to start in market number 1002. And you might have to start in an area that really doesn't, you don't see it being in alignment with what you want to do and where you want to go. I talk
Mhm.
to a lot of my mentees, and everybody wants to be, the cute, hot sports sideline, reporter, and so on and so forth. And you might start editing production in the newsroom, editing tapes in the newsroom, and you're like, how is
Mhm.
that going to get to that? And you know, as you build and grow, and stay in alignment, and stay true to you and your purpose and what you have set out to do, and the intentionality behind it, believe it or not, the dots will connect, and you'll
Mm-hmm.
go from editing film to, your NFL, Fox Today NFL sideline reporter, whatever it is you're doing. But there is a process. And so I
Mm-hmm.
think for someone, just coming out, I would really hope that they could understand that it is a process and it's going to take steps. And don't nobody owe you nothing. So you better be good, keep it
Mm-hmm.
tight, learn how to code switch, and take advantage, especially if you stay, within the Big Ten. Well, it's expanded so much now, so I'm talking old school. But if you're pretty much Midwest, take advantage of the fact that a lot of times the higher ups that you're going to talk to are Big Ten folks.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it might not be Michigan State, but there's still an entry point as far as conversation and establishing a rapport when someone has somewhat of the same collegiate experience as you, whether it's state, unfortunately, U of M, Ohio State, Indiana, Purdue, whatever. So sometimes that's an entry point,
Mm-hmm.
having that commonality with management or a company that you're looking at, and you see the hiring manager went, to this place. That's always a great in. As a matter of fact, I was on my way to Spelman College. I had been accepted. I got my little sister. My big sister. I went
Mm-hmm.
down there, and my dad was like, let me just holler at you for a minute, because my parents went to Western. Eh.
Oh, really?
Um, yeah, my
Yeah.
parents went to
My
Western.
parents,
They
yeah, my parents went to Western too. Yeah. They went to
I don't
Western,
understand.
yep.
My little brother ended up going to Western. They have a good hockey team too, and their
Mm-hmm.
basketball and their football team was making some noise. And Dwayne Stephen is a coach at head coach for
Mm-hmm.
Western Michigan basketball. So like they could be like little cousins. Okay, I give them a thumbs up. I take that back.
Right.
They're like little cousins.
Right.
We'll take them. But I was on my way down to Spelman. That's the experience I wanted. I was coming off of school days, honey, and I was going to a HBCU.
Ah.
And I got into Spelman, and my daddy was like, "Well, listen, do you feel like you're gonna stay in Atlanta?" And at that time, I didn't know nothing about Atlanta, and
Mm-hmm.
and there wasn't this mad rush just yet. Atlanta had not. This is gonna be, late '80s, so Atlanta had
Mm-hmm.
not really evolved just yet as that hip hop capital and that black music capital. Not at
Right.
that point. And
Right.
so I felt like I would go to Spelman and come on back to Michigan, Detroit, and just, work or figure something. He said, well, listen, he said, I really feel like if you're coming back, if you think you're coming back after college, I would suggest you think about some colleges that are nearby, only because that's going to help you with networking. And my dad he was such a he left this world so early. Not back in 1997. He was only
Mm-hmm.
52, but he was just so wise. He was really an old soul. For him to be able to have that wisdom to say that's going to be a great networking tool coming out of Michigan State, and you want to
Mm-hmm.
go into communications, you coming back home to Detroit after you graduate, it might fare better for you to have that type of connection. And he was absolutely right. He was
Mm-hmm.
absolutely right. I can't tell you how many interviews I had, even transitioning into the newsroom. And one of the news directors who took my bid to become an anchor very seriously, coming out of radio,
Mm-hmm.
Michigan State. And we sat there, and most of the interview we talked about Michigan State. Now, the hire didn't happen, but he later left that company, and he's in Lansing now as a news director. And
Mm, okay.
we ended up at the same company, and he became a great endorser of Cortney Hicks in regards to, my moving around the newsroom and becoming an anchor. And he just become a great cheerleader and had the ear of other upper management folks. So you just never know. So it was that my father was really speaking to, and had the wisdom to really share and understand even back then, because I was I
Mm-hmm.
was uh, I was on my way to Spelman, honey. I was going to be a Spelman woman for sure. You know?
You
Spike Lee and
know,
School Days and that whole
right.
craze. I was on my way, honey. Yes.
You know, it's
Yes.
funny, Courtney. I was kind of similar to you. I'm a little,
Hmm.
I'm a little behind you, but when I went to high school, my junior year, I did a black college tour. So we toured at that time all the Atlanta schools, went to
Yeah.
FAMU, North Carolina,
Yeah.
Atlanta A&T. So my
Yeah.
senior year in high school, I had applied to North Carolina A&T and FAMU. Cause like you, I was like, oh yeah, saw school days and saw these schools up close and personal. And I was like,
Yeah,
yeah,
man.
and I'm kind of feeling this. But then when I did the tour of Michigan State, and one of the things, this is kind of funny, but one of the things that convinced me to go to Michigan State was that they didn't have any like curfews per se. Cause at that time, at least some of the HBCUs, they had curfews in the dorms and whatnot. So
You
I
were
was like,
grown.
well, right.
You
I
were
was
a
like,
grown ass student at Michigan State
right,
with no curfew. Oh,
right,
yeah.
right, right. So, and then I was thinking like you, I was like, well, I didn't want to be that far away from home. And an hour was perfect for me, and I just fell in
Yeah.
love with the university when I toured it,
Yeah.
and they acted like they
Yeah.
wanted me to come because I did apply to
Yeah.
that school down the road, and they were like, okay, yeah, come on in. That's it. I ain't getting any phone calls. I got
Of
nothing.
course you didn't.
When
Of course you
I got
didn't.
accepted to Michigan State, they was calling me. They say, "Hey, how you doing? You good? You need anything?" I'm like, "Wow, they really want me to come." And what's so
That's
ironic
right.
is that a good number of people who went on that black college tour also went to Michigan State. So,
Yeah. And I
yeah.
don't know if you can recall this. A lot of my friends who went down to HBCUs, they asses was right back after their freshman year.
Right.
Going to Wayne State University. And that's not a knock against the HBCU
Oh, no,
experience.
not at
I
all.
used to
Not
live
at
right up the
all.
street
Mm-mm.
from Howard University. I see the tradition, I see the love, and I see the benefit of being around your own during that very critical time of your life.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like for me, the best experience was Mich- PWI. But
Mm-hmm.
if you can recall, Ken, we had a black experience at a
Oh,
PWI.
yeah, we
You
did.
know what I'm
I
saying?
tell people all the time.
We had the black caucuses that were in each dorm. I
Yep.
remember back in my day, each dorm put on a big, huge presentation. It was like this real big, huge talent show, but it was like
Oh, yeah,
well
yeah.
done.
I remember that. Fake the
And
funk.
that's how I was flunking them terms up there singing and practicing for I can't remember what they were called,
Fake
Ebony
the funk.
Showcase
Yeah,
and
Ebony
Fake the
Showcase, Fake the Funk.
all of that.
Yep.
So
Yep. Had the
our
step
my experience
shows.
was black.
Yeah.
I felt like my experience was an HBCU experience that
Yeah,
just
me too.
happened to be on a predominantly white campus. That's all. But I
Yeah.
remember those Fake the Funks. That was the later part, and I had come out by then, and
Mm-hmm.
I remember going back to host them because that was affiliated with me being at the radio station, and just the way those Fake the Funks grew into what they grew into and being at the auditorium and stuff like that. Those are some great, great memories. And then my little brother, Jay Hicks,
Oh yeah. I remember
he
Jay.
ended up
Yeah.
doing the same shift that I used to do on Power 96.5.
Yep.
It was still open by the Dubose family, who I want to send some
Mm-hmm.
condolences. Helena Dubose, who was the original owner, her and her family of WQHH Power 96.5, a very well-known black family in the Lansing area.
Mm-hmm.
We just lost her November 18th, I do believe. So sending my condolences out
Oh
to
wow. Yes, most
the
definitely.
Dubose family.
Mm-hmm.
96.5 is owned by a whole different group of folks now.
Okay.
But as far as the original folks at Q
Mm-hmm.
96.5 Power, that was black owned, and it was just really an amazing experience. It changed the trajectory of my life, and I was there for just over. It happened so fast. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like radio is what I was born to do because I was only there a little over a year and then I was out and I was in Chicago doing middays.
Mm-hmm.
So going from market 114 to market 3 within like a year and a half was just an amazing. And I remember my daddy saying, "You don't think you're moving too fast?" I was like, "Hell no!" I packed up that in one of those suitcases, and I was pew, and never looked back. Never looked back. But yeah, I owe so much to the Dubose family. So I was sad to hear of her passing. Mr. Dubose
Hmm.
passed a little earlier on. There was a son who was program director. His name was Cullen Dubose. He was my
Oh yeah, I
first
remember
program
him.
director. So
I
yeah,
remember
yeah, yeah,
him.
yeah. And he's
Yeah.
passed on as well. So yeah, that whole family. So I just wanted to show some love to them real quick for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I remember being a student at MSU, listening to
Hmm.
you on Power 96.5, and then working
Yeah,
with your brother Jay Hicks, because being a part of MSU Black alumni, especially doing the homecoming events. Always talking to
yeah,
Jay
yeah.
about, like, hey, we
Hmm.
need some spots for our homecoming
Yep,
event. So,
yep,
shout out to your
yep.
brother too, man. I'm gonna holler at Jay, get him on here too for an
Oh Lord.
interview.
Now he's a talker. So if you have him on, that it's gonna be a 3-part special because he don't know how to shut up. Good God, he don't know how to shut up.
Oh
So be
man,
careful
that
with
is
that one,
funny.
huh? But yeah, but he caught a little bit of the Dubose. He caught a little bit of the Dubose family, and then he stayed for a while as they sold the station to
Hmm.
McDonald Broadcasting. So
Okay.
yeah, he had, two different experiences where mine was pretty much all the Dubose family. But yeah,
Hmm.
if you invite him on, honey, make sure it's a 3-4 part series because he don't know how to shut up. Yeah, we're 11
Yeah.
years apart. So he came out in 2004. So again, a total different MSU experience. The same but different,
Hmm.
So I
Wow.
feel like no matter what generation of MSU Spartan you are, it's the same experience, just in a different kind of way, you
Oh
know?
yeah, yeah. Wow, Quinn, we have so
Mhm.
many similarities. Our parents went to Western. My brother
Mm,
Brian, we're 12 years apart, and
okay.
he started at MSU when your brother left. He started at MSU in 2004 when your brother
Okay.
left. So his
Mhm.
experience, it's different but still the same, just different
Mhm.
generations. But
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
wow, so much
Yeah. It
similarities
is with
here.
I know, it's a house divided. So I'm the oldest and the only girl. So it's state, then it goes Michigan, and then state, and then West, and then Western. So, but for some reason, the Western brother favors. He loves Michigan. I'm like, what? Well, why didn't you just go to Michigan, sir? I have no idea. But yeah, and that one Wolverine in the family is the most arrogant and the most, yeah, you
Mm.
know how they are,
Oh yeah,
Ugh.
sure do,
Sore
sure
losers,
do.
just sore
All
losers,
right,
and
sore
just,
losers.
oh God, cheaters. I mean, they take away 14 of our games, but then you can cheat and do what they did,
Right,
and
get a slap on the
not have to
wrist.
suffer. Yeah, and I think that boy got what he get suspended for a game or two. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, yeah, either it. I don't know what. Sometimes maybe it's just the prestige of the program or something, or maybe as and 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 do what we need to do to
Mm-hmm.
to fight for our lives or something. I don't know because yeah, we've taken a beating the last few years, and some of that rightfully so.
Yeah,
You do
yeah,
wrong, you gotta deal with the consequences. But some kind of way, that other squad up the way, they just get away with everything. I'm like, what is going
yeah,
on here? Yeah.
yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know.
Right, right,
Hmm.
right. Well,
Hmm.
Courtney, it was a pleasure, the ultimate pleasure to have you on here, Cue the Woodshed. We thank you, thank you, thank you for being our our guest here in the Classic Spartan series. Like I said,
My pleasure.
you're a classic Spartan through and through, from 96.5 in Lansing to being in the Library of Congress. I mean,
Mm.
like I say, you a walking monument. Can we say a
Man,
walking
I
Spartan
appreciate that.
monument?
I
So,
appreciate that. And
oh,
thanks
for
for having
sure.
me. And listen, don't forget about us little folks when this podcast blows up, honey. Don't remember the very humble beginnings.
Oh no! Hey,
But
hey, you got an open door. Anytime you want to come back on,
yeah,
come on. We'll come
but
through.
I
We
believe
got you.
I've watched a few episodes. I appreciate the invitation, and just keep doing it. You know, the only way you don't win is if you just stop doing what you're
Right.
doing. That's the only way you don't win. So just keep doing it. There's definitely room for everybody, and you have a niche and a perspective that nobody else brings. And so I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking forward to watching this particular podcast blossom and grow and elevate. And I'm just glad I'm kind of getting in as it's starting to lift off. That's exciting. That's exciting.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. And again,
My
thank you for
pleasure.
coming on here. Open door policy, like I said, and hey, classic Spartan series. Cue the
Absolutely,
woodshed.
absolutely, absolutely. Go green. And if you call that damn Jay Hicks, I'm not responsible. I'm not responsible.
Got you. Go white. Cue the woodshed. We are out.